Warning, this guide features strats. Look, it's week 3, so this guide's just going to stick to standard Party Finder strats as much as possible. There may be some small differences, and individual parties may vary, so still be mindful. Hi guys, and welcome to a Hector lecture guide to the fight M12S. This is Lindwurm. For this fight, you really only need spread positions. These are roll-based, and these can be mirrored, but it's this order from north to south. Sometimes these will be adjusted into these positions to dodge chronocleaves, and sometimes we'll do these in the corner with tanks and melees near the middle for uptime. The fight begins with the Fixer. This is an incredibly hard-hitting raid wide, so make sure to mitigate it heavily or people will die. Afterwards, the boss is going to reach out 8 hands, 4 on each side, and cast Mortal Slayer. He'll start to show you some balls. The green ones, these are spread AoEs. They can be taken by any player. But the purple ones hit much harder. These are tank busters that need to be taken by a tank with mitigation. To bait these, you need to be on the same side of the boss as the ball, and you need to be the nearest player to the middle of the boss's hitbox. These orbs will always appear 2 at a time, but it's random whether or not you'll get 2 on one side or 1 on each side. You will always get 2 purple orbs and 6 green orbs, so every player is taking 1. The tanks, real simple. Main tank will always take the first purple orb that appears and off tank the second one. For the rest of players, if we go by the standard raid plan strategy, we're using this conga line you see here. H1 wants the first left green orb, H2 wants the first right green orb. Same thing for the melees, M1 wants second left green orb, M2 wants second right green orb. The range they're adjusting. One of these sides is going to have 4 green orbs. If it's left, R1 takes third and R2 takes fourth. If it's right, R2 takes third and R1 takes fourth. As soon as the first orbs appear, you can start to pre-position. Here we have the first players are on the wall, on their correct side, in the hitbox. The players that are second in line are sort of on deck, and they're in the hitbox, but they're not all the way on the wall because they want to be far enough to not get clipped by the first explosions. Everyone else waits outside of the hitbox. The rest of the orbs will appear. Here we see 2 green on the left, followed by 2 green on the right. As the cast finishes, the first players are hit, and they want to immediately move out of the hitbox so they're not the nearest to the middle of the hitbox. The safest way to do this is to move out towards the corners. This ensures that you're not going to accidentally get overlapped by the players coming in. As soon as player 1s move out, player 2s slide into position, and it's like a conveyor belt. The third player on each side can slide into the on-deck spot, and we just continue this until all 4 players have taken their orbs. Here, the ranged players don't have to move because the next 2 green orbs are guaranteed to only target players on the right side. If you're an NA Party Finder, they do mortal rolls instead. Be aware that because the 2 purple orbs are always going to be on the same side of the boss, you can just assign the supports to whichever side has purple orbs. So wait for the orbs to start appearing. And as soon as you see some purple orbs, that's the side the supports will take. DPS will take it in the order you see here from top to bottom. Supports will take it in the order from top to bottom, but with tanks taking purple and healers taking green. Your first players move into position with your second players on deck. And when all orbs have appeared, the mechanic plays out otherwise exactly the same. One last thing to be aware, it is possible to have 2 orbs at the same time, 1 tank and 1 regular orb. If this happens, you should know that the outermost orb goes to the innermost player. So right now, since the purple orb is on the outside, off tank is nearer to middle to make sure they get that tank orb and it doesn't go to H2 instead. However you resolve Mortal Slayer, group up afterwards in the northwest corner and do a loose spread. The boss will cast Grotesquerie Act 1 and grow a dragon arm, and we get a bunch of debuffs. First, let's talk the purple debuff. These purple debuffs come with a growth on your character that will either be in front of them, behind them, or on the side. We pre-spread so we can see our growth a little bit easier because these growths signify a cleave that you're going to shoot out at the end. These cleaves are relative to where the growth is on your character. If you rotate the way you're looking, you rotate the way the cleave will shoot. The other debuffs are just stacks and spread. One player has a stack debuff. This will always be on one player of a roll. The other roll will all have spread debuffs. These go off at the same time as the cleaves, and we'll deal with them at the end. But before that, we stack nice and tight because we have 4 sets of puddles to bait. We're going to bait these along the north wall, moving inwards. First one. Second puddles. The boss will start to prepare a Ravenous Reach as we do the third puddles. And for the fourth one, we are going to swerve towards middle and drop these near the hitbox arrow. As we do so, pay attention to the head of the dragon as it starts to move. It can move straight down or diagonally across. This is going to shoot out a cleave like in normal mode, so we need to get behind it and deal with our stacks and spreads over there. Dodge to the safe side. Resolve the stack up in the corner, while spread players go to these positions you see here. Don't forget to turn your cleave away so that you don't accidentally shoot it through anyone else, or it will likely kill them. Let me rewind just to show you other possibilities that could have happened. Here, Grotesquerie Act 1 goes off, and this time, supports have spreads, DPS has the stack. We still bait our puddles exactly the same. Fourth puddle, we head towards middle. And we pay attention to the head here, and this time we see that the head is going diagonally across, so the whole group is going to dodge towards the west to be able to dodge this. This time, supports are going to spread, while DPS stack in the corner. If you look here, just be aware that the stack players are stacked, but they're still in set position so that they can easily aim their cleaves towards the outside while still sharing the stack together. However you resolve this, immediately afterwards, send your tanks away from where you just finished while everyone groups up on the same side. This is because blobs are going to drop down, and we need to dodge these as they expand while also dealing with tank busters on both tanks and a stack on one player. The party are just going to stack on the same side we finished in. There will always be a safe spot from the blobs on that side. The tanks will always run opposite, and while these are meant to be spread tank busters, with enough mitigation, you can just stack these. Either use your 40 in short cooldown, or everything but your 40. Everything goes off at the same time, and group back together for another The Fixer. Remember to mitigate this. Next up is Grotesquerie Act 2. A whole ton of debuffs spawn, and let's bring this to the chalkboard as this is the most complicated mechanic in the phase. Players are going to have these alpha and beta debuffs. When the timer reaches 0, these players should be stacked together as it will form a tether between the two of them. To break this tether, you need to run opposite, and this is easier if the tether is nice and short when you start. When you get far enough away, the tether will snap, causing spread AoEs on both players, giving them a magic fold. Shortly afterwards, underneath the beta player, there's a blob, which will turn into a tower. Since both players have a magic fold, they can't take this tower, so another beta player is going to have to slide in to take this tower from the tether break. There are also towers that spawn from blobs the boss drops at the beginning of the mechanic. These towers will be soaked by the alpha players. Both alpha and beta soak their towers in the exact same order. 3, 4, 1, 2. Alpha players are always going to take the towers that are dropped by the boss as blobs, and beta players are always going to take the towers that spawn from the tether breaks from alpha and beta running opposite each other. These breaks have to happen while the boss is middle doing that cruel coil spinny thing. Alpha players will run out the exit, while beta players run opposite the exit to make sure the tethers break quickly enough. We can simplify down everything based on the debuffs as soon as you've got them. Alpha players are going to be taking a tower first, so they're going to find their correct blob and stand on it. After they soak their tower, they stand perfectly middle, ready for their debuff to run out, and then they run out of the exit to break their tether. That's it. If you're an Alpha 1 or 2, instead you start middle, because you're going to break your tether first, so run out the exit when your debuff runs out, and then go find your blob to stand on what will become your tower. Beta players, super easy. You're just running opposite the exit twice. Once when you need to break your tether, once when you need to soak a tower from someone else breaking your tether. So let's play this out chronologically. Grotesquerie Act 2 goes out, and debuffs. Alpha players should immediately spot their alpha, and remember the order of towers, 3, 4, 1, 2, because the first thing that happens is we just wait while the boss drops the blobs. Here's the first blob. This is going to be soaked by 3 alpha, so H1 is going to focus on this spot. Here's the second blob, and player 4 alpha is going to focus on this, in this case H2. These two blobs, the first two, are always going to spawn nice and near middle because they'll be inside the snake while it's spinning around. There's the third blob, that's going to be taken by 1 alpha. And there's the fourth blob, that'll be taken by 2 alpha. The boss will cast Cruel Coil, suck everybody into middle, bind us for a couple seconds. And now the mechanic begins. 3 and 4 alpha can go and immediately just sit on their blob, ready to soak it when it turns into a tower, and they don't need to do anything else before then. Everybody else should stay stacked tightly middle so they don't get clipped by any attacks. The boss will spin, and I normally call out, not yet, at this point. Nothing happens here, wait for another spin. With this next spin, the 1's debuffs will have expired, and so it's time for them to break their tether. 1 alpha runs out, 1 beta is going to run opposite the exit, the tether should snap, and this is going to cause spread AoEs on both of those players. Towers are now going to spawn, and we need these to be taken by the number 3s, so the 3 beta just makes sure they slide into their tower. The boss spins again, and now 2s break. 2 alpha runs out, 2 beta stays in and runs opposite the exit. Towers spawn, and 4s are going to take these towers. If I pause for a second, you can see that the alpha players on the outside, main tank and off tank, are already trying to run towards their blobs because as soon as they get on top of their blob, they're done for the rest of the mechanic. They sit there and wait for the tower to get soaked. The boss spins again, and now 3s are going to run out to break their tethers. Towers spawn, and these are soaked by the number 1s. The boss spins again, and 4s will break their tethers. Alpha runs out, beta stays in, the towers spawn, and these are soaked by number 2s. After all of the towers have been soaked, the boss will spin around one more time, and all of the beta players who are hopefully still inside rush out the exit, just in time so they don't get crushed. That's it. That's the whole mechanic. We now get a Slaughtershed. This is a raid-wide, but nowhere near as hard-hitting as the Fixer. Still mitigate it, and it's going to explode the boss's arms, which will be replaced with dragon arms. Grotesquerie Act 3 is next, and for this one, do a loose spread middle, as you're going to get debuffs, and you're once again going to get growths on your player. Unlike last time, rotating the way you're facing doesn't do anything. These growths are fixed in the direction they're pointing. For the start of this mechanic, we want to point these growths inwards, towards the middle. So we're going to run opposite the direction our growth is facing, towards the cardinal to start. This will always be 1 support and 1 DPS at each cardinal direction. The boss will become untargetable, and now we get ground AoE signifying some of the ground is about to be broken up. These can be a bit confusing to read. It's about to leave either all cardinals or all intercardinals safe, but it's not immediately obvious which one's which. I focus in on this one AoE here. If there's an AoE on the 4 marker in the top left, that means that cardinals are safe and you stay put. Here we stay at the cardinals, but we need to spread out as our debuffs will require us to spread shortly. We're sending supports bottom left and DPS top right. However, if I overlay the spread AoEs, you'll see a problem. Currently, main tank and R1 are too near to each other, and you'd have the same problem with off tank and R2. So the players on the north and south platforms are going to do this adjustment here so that now everyone's spread out enough. The platforms will get broken, slide to make sure you don't get clipped by these AoEs, and then immediately afterwards you are going to get bound into positions, and now the debuffs go off. Your blobs are going to shoot off in the direction that they're facing. They're shooting a tower and a spread, which will hopefully be caught by an opposite player. For instance, R1 is shooting their tower towards M2, and M2 has just shot their tower at R1. If positioned correctly, the mechanic resolves just fine. Afterwards, the stage will transition, but before I go any further, let's rewind and see how things could have looked slightly differently if instead the intercardinals were left safe. Here we've got our debuffs, we've gone to the cardinal, so our growth is pointing towards middle, and as the AoEs appear, no AoE on the 4-way mark. That means that intercardinals are safe, and everyone needs to rotate in the same direction. We're going to have everyone rotate clockwise. For this one, supports can all be bottom left, DPS top right of their little mini platform. Watch where you're positioning, and adjust if you're accidentally in one of the AoEs. And then the bind will happen, and this time all of the towers are going to get shot in a clockwise circle, but everyone's positioned to catch another player's tower if you're in these exact spots. The stage will transition again, and now the next set of mechanics really depends on which platform we have, so I'm going to run through all of them chronologically for each of the 2 platform varieties. Let's start with the cardinal safe first. So this is the platform you'll have if you were on cardinals. First thing, dragons are going to spawn in these exact positions. These will shoot a tank buster at the nearest player, so tanks are going to run up and hug the wall near to them to aim these diagonally towards north. Take this with either heavy mitigation, or my group like to use invuln here, just to make it less likely they get clipped by the next attack. Afterwards, the 2 dragons are going to shoot 3 spread AoEs at each of the 3 furthest players from them. To resolve this, tanks just need to run middle, and the melees need to go near to the wall, and this will ensure that the spread AoEs are all going to get shot onto the non-tanks. Afterwards, stack up middle and mitigate for the Fixer, and then stack top left for Grotesquerie Curtain Call. When this goes off, honestly, it's really similar to Act 1. We get debuffs, every player gets an alpha debuff. We get some yellow debuffs, these are the spreads that we saw beforehand, and some purple debuffs on another roll. These are still just spread, but now they're going to get hit by the Ravenous Reach Cleave later on. They have to not die. We're now going to get 5 set of puddles instead of 4 sets of puddles. So we bait the first 3 along the northern wall. The boss will prepare a Ravenous Reach. After 4 puddles, we're going to go back and we're going to try to drop the 5th one right on the hitbox arrow again, so that we can easily adjust to whichever side the Ravenous Reach head goes toward. Currently, the Ravenous Reach head means that the supports who don't want to get hit by the cleave need to go behind the head. The DPS who need to get hit by the cleave are going to just stay over on the west side, somewhere where they'll get hit by the cleave. Dodge out and start to spread. And mitigate. This hits roughly as hard as the Fixer cast, and so without heavy mitigation, people will just die to damage. As long as your yellow spread players are out of the cleave and your purple spread players are in the cleave, all of the attacks will go off just fine. Immediately afterwards, rush middle as your alpha debuff's about to expire. This debuff chains every support to a DPS, and we're simply going to run out supports left, DPS right, while going to our spread positions in order from north to south. The tethers will break and make a small spread AoE, and now you'll have noticed some blobs have dropped down. Immediately after the spread AoE goes off, dodge the blobs. Now let's rewind all the way back to see what this combination looked like had we have had the Intercardinal safe platform. For this, the dragons spawn here. Tanks are going to position to be the nearest player once again, and they're going to aim theirs to the northern corner. Everyone else is going to be positioned like this so that they can take the spread AoEs. The boss will cast the Fixer. And now for Grotesquerie Curtain Call, we're going to stack up here, and for our puddles, we're going to do a loop in the northwest corner counterclockwise. 1 set of puddle, 2nd set of puddle, 3rd set of puddle. While these puddles are happening, players should look at their debuff to realize supports need to be in the cleave this time. 4th set of puddle. And after the 5th set of puddle, which should be back near to where you started, look at the head. Supports want to get hit by this cleave, DPS want to get behind the cleave. So everyone will spread. Note, these are the spread positions suggested by the raid plan. However, it is perfectly fine for the players who need to be in the cleave to spread anywhere in the cleave. It does not matter where, as long as you're not clipping other players. Just be aware this is what you're most likely to see in Party Finder. Remember to mitigate, and the attacks go off. Afterwards, rush middle. The alpha debuffs will activate. Supports left, DPS right while spreading. After your spreads go off, immediately rush towards the safe spots. There's going to be a Slaughtershed raid-wide to heal and mitigate through. And then we're going to get a repeat of Mortal Slayer. No differences from the first time that you saw this. And now we get Slaughtershed. For Slaughtershed, I recommend having the support stack up slightly in front of the hitbox arrow and the DPS either on it or slightly south of it. When Slaughtershed goes off, the boss will do some raid-wide damage, explode its arms, drop down some blobs, and spawn spread AoEs on one roll and a stack on the other roll. Here's how we resolve this. The safe spots are always the northern corners. The stack is always going to go to whichever corner has a blob. In this case, it's currently the D corner. The spreads are always going to go to the corner that doesn't have a blob in it, in this case, the 1 corner. The stacks need to hide all the way in the corner, while the spreads are going to position tightly in these spread positions here. It's really helpful if the corner spread player gets to their position early so that everyone else can position relative using the circles that you see as telegraphs. While this is happening, pay attention to the boss as it regrows its arms. It's going to regrow them one at a time. Here we have a dragon left and a dragon right as all of the explosions go off. Dragon heads are half arena cleaves like in normal mode, so we start on the right side and then swap over to the left side. Slaughtershed will then repeat, so we again position with our groups so we can easier see if we're stack or spread. The blobs fall down. This time stacks will go to the 1 corner and spreads will go to the 4 corner. This time supports are stacking and DPS are spreading. And this time as the hands regrow, it's left and then right, but they're normal hands. These are not half arena cleaves. These are knockbacks from the top corner. Since the first knockback was on the left side, we're going to position on the corner of the 4-way mark to ride it. Knockback left, and then immediately position for knockback right. If you time your knockback immunity well, you can just write out both of these like H2 did here. Finally, position for one more Slaughtershed. Same thing that you've just done twice over. Do it a third time. When all's done, if the boss isn't low enough, they will just become untargetable and instantly kill you. However, if you have gotten them low enough, they will start to cast Refreshing Overkill, which serves as the Enrage. If you get the boss to 0% before this cast finishes, the boss will become untargetable, but you will see a phase transition towards Phase 2. If the boss isn't at 0% before the cast finishes, though, it's game over. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed.